The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host. And we've got a market that's slightly up. Up 4.5 points on the S&P cash, up 7 points on the NASDAQ, and up 50 points on the Dow, although that is meaningless. A lot of ways we could say that how the Dow is meaningless. Let me count the ways. Anyway, S&P 2.2 billion shares, or at least on the New York Consolidated Tape, and 1.25 billion shares on the NASDAQ. So is volume okay? It's better than it was during the summer. Is it skyrocketing? The answer is no. And just looking for numbers again tomorrow morning, and a very tight trading ranges between now probably and the end of the year. I didn't find many things out here. In fact, in my daily newsletter, I'm all cash, but I think that will change here shortly. Added one position to the Tech Insider today, which is a candidate for a short squeeze, and doing pretty good so far, at least staying in there. We'll see how it develops over the next few days. But seeing some other stocks out here short squeezed makes me think that we're probably getting to the bottom of the well of tax selling. And maybe it'll take another day or two, but getting kind of close. What else is going on out here? Well, on this day in 1917, the Bolshevik party leader Lenin and leftist revolutionaries launch a nearly bloodless coup against the Russians' ineffectual provisional government. The Bolsheviks and their allies occupied the government buildings and other strategic locations in the Russian capital of Petrograd, now St. Petersburg. Within 2 days, it formed a new government with Lenin as its head. Bolshevik Russia later renamed the Union of Socialist Republics, USSR. And there's so many lessons that could be learned from Russia, especially about their views on socialism and communism. As far as I'm concerned, communism is just socialists with guns. They will kill you if you don't follow them. Normally, they just put you in jail in socialist countries. But very interesting ideals. And if you have never read it, and you want to put something on your bucket list before you leave this fine earth, I would recommend reading the works of George Orwell. He was a big socialist communist, went to fight in the revolution in Spain, and pretty much up against the Hitlerites, the people that were backed by Hitler, and people like him, the fascists, and the Italian fascists. Got shot in the throat and miraculously didn't hit anything important. Lived a fairly long life, died probably a little bit too early, but it really wasn't recognized during his time, but probably wrote some of the best books ever written as allegories into politics. He basically tackled the three great ideologies of the 20th century. The right of Europe to control the rest of the world, basically England, and the rest of them out there that had colonized many places like India. He was a, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think he did taxes in India for a number of years and saw how the English treated the Indian people and couldn't stand it and quit one day and left. And kind of bummed around for a number of years, dug ditches, but eventually wrote some of the best books in the world. And if you want to understand politics, there is no better book than Animal Farm. It always shows how the people that, especially for a leftist to write a book like that, kind of interesting, but showed how socialism and communism, either one, always end up the same way. I've talked about in 6,000 years of recorded history, socialism has always failed. And why it failed, probably in that Animal Farm book, There Is No Better. And if you want the Reader's Digest version of it, basically a farm owner gets tossed off his farm by the farm animals because he's a drunk and really doesn't take care of them correctly. And, of course, several of the pigs decide to lead the place, and eventually they become as bad as the farm owners that they replaced. And at the very end of the book, I'll spoiler since it's only been out about 100 years or 80 years, however long the book's been out, the rest of the farm animals start looking in the window, and they can't tell the difference between people and the pigs that took over the place and being the socialists. But three major areas of capitalism, fascism, socialism, of course, wrote 1984, a dystopian view of the world that we're living now. But you think about books that were truly prophetic, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with submarines that ran forever on a magical power source. Of course, we know that in nuclear energy today. But kind of interesting to see the journey of someone that was a socialist realize that the frailties of humanity would always drag us into a ditch. But I've talked about this book before. But Christopher Hitchens has some great videos on YouTube if you want to just watch them. But he also wrote one of the best books about political thinking, and that is Why Orwell Matters, kind of a history of his life, but also a history of his thinking. And one of the best books on that kind of thing that you could ever think of. Anyway, one of the reasons I bring politics up, and I'm going to try to stay and lean backwards on this, is that I was trying to get my view of next year politically in my head, and part of it was going to be these press conferences we had over the last couple of days, starting with the Speaker of the Senate President, and then, of course, President Obama yesterday, and now the Speaker of the House just coming off a few minutes ago. Looks to me like it's not going to be getting anything done. It looks to me like it's going to be all-out war. And unfortunately, I suspect that many of the people around the world will look at this as an opportunity of weakness for the United States and continue doing bad things to bad people. I think the gauntlet was thrown down yesterday. We're probably going to look forward to something even worse than the political ads I've had to suffer through in the last 2 months. I'm looking for Watergate-like hearings, prosecutions. We probably have a sitting senator that's going to have a special prosecutor in the not too distant future. We have a currently sitting justice official that is probably going to jail for lying to Congress. And it's going to be probably a tough year. I remember how horrible the psyche was injured in the Watergate years. But it looks to me like enough people are probably going to roll over here as an unfettered Congress goes and starts tearing away at the thin veneer of people that have probably been doing something wrong. I don't know if it's going to probably not rise to the level of the president, but there were a lot of people doing bad things. There was one guy actually elected on Tuesday that had 21 or 22 counts of fraud and corruption. And the only thing you could think of is how bad was his opponent to not get elected if you're sitting there with 22 fraud and corruption cases against you. That was in New York. I don't know exactly what went on there. But our enemies always come at our weakest, and not to get too political, because it takes two to tango, but my guess is that politically it's going to get even worse than we've seen in the last 6 to 9 months. We had the opportunity to drop olive branches, and I don't think anybody got all warm and fuzzy. At least a couple of warnings were gone unheeded, and I suspect we're going to see that action in the next couple of weeks. I don't think it's going to affect our markets. Politically, the markets love a locked-up Congress because, they swear to uphold the Constitution. I would add one more thing. That is to do no harm. They should kind of take that doctor's oath and put it together with our politicians. Defend our Constitution and also do no harm. But it's hard for me to see a one side who is now 0-15 in the Supreme Court, who claims to be a constitutional scholar, continue to do things that are pretty tough for a great majority to probably swallow. And again, that is probably going to be the ongoing argument for the next 2 years. I can't see that they change anytime soon. It's going to be a constant effort to make sure that the balance of power between the judicial, the executive, and the legislative exists. But it is going to be problematic at best. And I don't see anybody saying they want to get all warm and fuzzy and do a bear hug in politics. But again, that's when our enemies come and our worst problems happen. There was a reason why the 9/11 guys decided to strike when they did, and that was because they sensed weakness in our world and in our economy and in our resolve. Generally, Japan asked them if it was a great thing to do. They thought the same thing in the 1930s, or actually 1940, and woke up to a different reality. But unfortunately, sometimes it takes those kind of shocks for us to get going. We talked about the news yesterday. This title should actually be more about the news. And someone asked me about why we had a real edge if we read the news compared to other people. And I said, well, first of all, we have to know that most of the people that both read the news and make the news are in the biggest echo chambers that there is. We're going to talk about this when we come back, but it was a little part in Fooled by Randomness, and it is pure brilliance. But we'll be back in a minute. We'll talk about why I think we have a great ability to be better than everybody on CNBC or Wall Street. We'll be back in a minute.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
With the launch of Tiger TV, TFNN has brought our programming to the next level. With Tiger TV, you can gain access to each host's charts and computer screens as they host their daily stock program. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pezzamento, Andy Hecht, Think or Swim, or Carol Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV for your viewing pleasure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't checked out Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com and see what you're missing.
Andy Hecht's powerful weekly newsletter, the Technomental Commodity Report, has delivered multiple triple-digit winning trades in recent months. And right now's the perfect time to get a full month-long trial to Andy's newsletter with no obligation to pay anything. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you'll lock in the low rate of only $59 a month. Sign up right now for the Technomental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You've always taken the long view when it comes to investing, but what if there's an opportunity right under your nose? What if you could be more responsive to market trends to seek to boost your portfolio performance right now while seeking to reduce your overall risk? At Direction Funds, we connect investors with alternative strategies that seek to maximize their returns. Smart investors deserve smart alternatives. Find yours at directionfunds.com. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risk charges, and expenses of Direction Funds carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Funds. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact the Direction Funds at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. Investing in index funds may be more volatile than investing in broadly diversified funds. Distributed by Rafferty Capital Markets, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
As we come back, I was talking a little bit about the firehouse effect in this title. This slide shouldn't be political outlook. It should be why I think you can do better than a lot of people in Wall Street. And it's an idea that is in Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. But early on, he bumped into a man whose name is Marty O'Connell. And he knew a bunch of firemen. And they basically had a lot of downtime to talk. And he noticed that they started coming up with some really crazy ideas. He spoke about it. It later became actual tests by sociologists. They would take firemen from one political belief and put them in another firehouse of a different political belief. And eventually those beliefs started to converge. The people that were liberal became more conservative, and conservative became more liberal. But they also came up with some incredibly insane ideas. And it is kind of interesting to see that I see so much of this on Wall Street. Politics too, but they come up with, a lot of people will come up with insane ideas. There's just nobody to tell them occasionally they're wrong. I have to have people tell me occasionally that I'm wrong. And as long as it's not about the stock market, I'm fine. I don't give a lot of deep thought into how everybody's going to be warm and cuddly about what I'm saying. I'm basically looking almost scientifically, trying to get as much emotion out of everything I do, trying to make sure that I'm not politically correct when I make decisions about the stock market. Like I've brought up several times, there's no bull or bear side to the stock market. There's only the right side. And too many times we have people come up with insane ideas. And I bring them up from time to time. The one I notice the most today is continued people talking about TAM, total addressable market. It's kind of the equivalent of lying about eyeballs and clicks. Back in 2000, we found out people did nothing more than hire massive amounts of Chinese to click on different websites to make it look like they were doing business. That bottom line, that EPS, says a lot more than total addressable market. And we're going to get into one of those ideas here very shortly. But just remember that especially me, I've had incredibly good luck, or maybe you wouldn't think it's luck, by betting on the opposite side of insane ideas. And there's a reason why, and that is too many people talk to too many people in big cities, and they basically talk themselves into stuff that's insane. And sometimes it makes them rich, so they're not much about talking about how nuts it is. After the bell tonight, we've got Alliant Energy Corporation, Computer Sciences, El Poco Loco, of course, the one that everybody wants to confuse with the chicken place in Breaking Bad, NVIDIA, Skyworks Solution, which is one I'm going to be watching very closely after Qualcomm last night. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Qualcomm, disaster du jour of the big caps. But Skyworks Solutions, some of these other stocks that were supposed to just go to the moon because Apple and others were going to be selling so many phones in China, maybe looks like it's a little bit bigger problem that people have thought of. And I talked about it over a year ago. And that is the idea that Apple's going to walk right in and start selling 4G phones to people in China when there is probably 1/10 of the market that even has access to 4G, or maybe even less. And they weren't in a big hurry to upgrade any of it. They think 3G is just fine. They're not looking to pay any money. These are not the people looking to throw cash around on cell phone rates. They may buy a better cell phone, but in the year that we've seen that, we've seen China's own burgeoning business of cell phones really move. And we'll talk about that more in the Qualcomm when we pull the chart up on that. Also, Ubiquity Networks, one of the companies I just love, stock, a little tougher, Disney and Zynga after the bell. So we'll be back in just a minute. And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock in option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And probably the big idea that's been pushed here for a while has been that Apple was going to take off like a rocket because all this business in China just couldn't wait for Apple. And I've been a skeptic about that particular argument, mostly because I've seen what's happened in Qualcomm. Qualcomm's got its second big gap down, and I suspect at the size of these gaps that we are looking for a third gap down. As one of our wonderful Den members, John from Philadelphia, said to me this morning, he did a search on 3-gap plays and found on Google and found my white paper on 3-gap plays. This would be a very interesting one to take a look at, especially in a 3-gap play, because I think this thing has every hallmark of making one more gap down. But when we look at Apple, not reacting a whole lot today, it's off 45 cents. But the argument has to be for Apple, which is, of course, 13% of the NASDAQ 100, has to be that they can continue to sell at least as many or more of the smartphones while they make iWatches and other things to pick up the slack. The question is, can they keep that kind of margin, and or can they find any growth in foreign countries like China? Well, Qualcomm, I think, would tell you no. You've had 2 big gaps. One, they certainly qualify on a level of volume for those particular gaps. Thank you. If you want a link to that paper I wrote on 3-gap plays, you can email me at path@tfnn.com, and I'll be more than glad to answer those and return the link for you if you want to read about this particular pattern. I think the reason I wrote that white paper was a 3-gap play on Netflix. If you go back and look through it, you'll see, and I think it was the idea that it popped up to 390 or so and was down to 330 the next day on the 3rd gap. We talked about, or I guess I was talking to John about how these things work, and they will, on the upside, a lot of times overshoot. On the downside, they tend to be almost instantaneous. On the upside, they either work instantly as soon as you get that 3rd gap, or you get kind of a blow off top and then it comes back down and fills all 3 of them. But pretty high probability that all those gaps eventually get filled. In this case, you're going to have 3 gaps to the downside, so the play would be on the 3rd gap to look for this thing and maybe buy it down there. But 3 big gaps, lots of volume, and that would be it. Now, Qualcomm's certainly justified with 2 big gaps. So the next thing you want to do is, I don't know why I hit F4 out here. Oh, F3. There we go. Let's go back and set some things up. Here we go. Let's turn back on swings. Okay. So let's go back to 2 years. A 3rd gap would probably, my guess, is set us up for a test of the low out here at $59.02. So, you know, if you could get back, this thing starts moving back up, we start hearing some more problems with everybody in China that said that it was nothing but a giant pot of gold for them, and they found out that it's nothing but a huge headache. I'm thinking about Yum. Isn't it Yum Brands that had all the problem with the chickens? But certainly this is exactly what you look for. And, of course, in 1 gap, maybe you get 2 gaps. The 3rd gap is a pretty high percentage play out here, and you'd probably want to be watching for Qualcomm for that 3rd gap down. Certainly, I would not want to be long this stock until that 3rd gap comes in, or we get some kind of negation of this particular pattern. But I think it is a bigger idea. Remember when I was talking before the break about the idea of the firehouse effect, and that is everybody just always telling everybody we're going to make a ton of money over in China. I'm waiting for the company that really has gone over there and been welcomed with open arms into their market. With Apple, not so much. They now have their own industry with 2 good cell phone manufacturers manufacturing Android phones. So I don't think that there's a whole lot there, although Apple says some. So does Apple have to go down on that? No, but it's not going to probably go up without it. They continue to be a company that looks like they are looking for something to replace a product that has 68% margins. What happens when that 68% becomes 65 and 62 and 55? Since nobody else is getting those margins, it's great while it lasts. The problem is that, like musical chairs, the music will stop. And at that point, Apple needs to have something else. Their idea now is basically a fool or brush salesman trying to get as many add-ons with headphones and iTunes and streaming music and anything else that they can get to. The problem, Apple Pay continues to be the problem. But I think what we should be watching out here is Qualcomm, because almost everything they're talking about is about the China market and how it's being received and what they're able to say in that market. Qualcomm is one of the few companies that makes a chip that will work basically across the world. They made this chip specifically for Apple, and I suspect a lot of what we're seeing here now is China trying to get into Qualcomm's intellectual property shorts, and it is going to be tough. Qualcomm knows that if they do bend to the Chinese will, that it's only a matter of time before they don't have any chip sales at all. Someone else takes them all over. The other thing that Qualcomm did talk about was, of course, what I've been talking about for over a year, and that is the amount of people that have 4G service. Does it make a lot of sense to buy a retail $800 or $700 smartphone, or $800 if you're buying the big one. If you only have 3G and you only have Wi-Fi, for the most part, that's at any decent speed whatsoever. You've really got to keep an eye on that, and my guess is that it's going to be a while before people start wildly throwing cash around like we do over here in the United States. But I've always been skeptical of the Chinese story. We're seeing it come home to roost, as they like to say in Qualcomm. And I suspect that we're going to see it in others. We've already seen it in Yum. It's going to be incredibly difficult to do business where someone doesn't want you to do it, and it's going to take a very strong hand in negotiations for trade for us to change the tide of how that happens. They've got 100 ways to screw us over there, and, of course, we operate under the rule of law over here sometimes. But that will be it. Anyway, that was one of the stocks that was very interesting. Of course, Tesla is another one of these story stocks. The story is that people will continue to buy Tesla cars, and that they just can't make enough, and that's why they're not selling as many as they thought. I think part of the big thing is, and what we're looking at here in Tesla, is 3 drives to a top. And could we see some more happy talk? Does it have to get back up to the high either? I don't know that it does. But the story on this is going to vastly change in the near future. It has changed, like if you are one of my subscribers to Cree, the Tech Insider, we talked about why Cree would fail. And I think we were short up in the 60s on that stock. Yeah. And anyway, we were short back up in this range and got some good wood on the bat, as they like to say. And there was a compelling reason why Cree was going to fail. We talked about in the newsletter about how another company had come out with a way to make LEDs extremely more cheaply than they could. We also talked about no one making any money in Pandora as a story, as a thesis. And it's also, way off the top. I think we were short at $38 a couple of times. It is tough. But it is tough. Let me put it that way. But now we go back to yet another story stock. And when I say a story stock, it is predicated on the belief that that story can continue. The story on Tesla is, one, that they make 25% margins when everybody else in the industry makes 6 or 7 or 8. Maybe if you got Ford F-150, I think, is one of the highest percentage of mass-produced vehicles. I think it's 8, maybe 8.5%. Gross margins on it. And, of course, at $40,000, they make some pretty good money on it. The problem comes in this story stock, they make 1 or 2 cars. It is predicated on the fact that gas was $4 when it started. Probably a harder story to sell when gas is $2.50, I'm going to say. But we certainly have seen what looks to be and could be a 3 drives to a top. We had lighter volume. This thing's pulled back into the trading range. But the short interest is so astronomical in Tesla, I keep on waiting for the shorts to just give up the ghost on this one. And my guess is that they're going to take this all the way into Christmas time. This thing's just going to drift back up. Could it even get higher than this September 4th high? I've seen weirder stuff going into the end of the year when there is such high short interest in a stock. I would love to see this thing kind of gap up, maybe 300, 310, and then especially if it's going to be light volume through Christmas, we could see maybe one of the best setups of all time on Tesla. It's just, I don't know how you ever make the books work where you build a $5 billion factory to build batteries for a company where you're not selling $1 billion worth of stuff a year. You're building a $5 billion company, a $5 billion factory to make batteries. In that case, I suspect you're a battery company. You are not a car company anymore, and the margins will vastly come down because they won't be able to sell those batteries to other people, and it doesn't make sense to make a $5 billion factory to make batteries for only your cars. So there's a lot of things about it. Everybody knows about it. I think this is one of those story stocks that everybody kind of knows already. And if there weren't so many shorts, this thing would have rolled over already. But every time it comes down $10, a lot of those shorts take their cash off and, of course, moderate any kind of downside in it. Somebody has other speculations. We'll have to see what that means. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648. What else do we have? Other stocks. Wanted to, it's been 3,500 days. Can you believe that? 3,500 days or more since there has been a hurricane that has hit in Florida. I think this is goes back 100 and some odd years to where we've had this few of many. Generac Holdings, of course, had some huge runs up to $62.50. They make standby power supplies. These things run on natural gas out behind your house. If it snows too hard, if it rains too hard, if there's an Ebola Walking Dead scare and the power goes out, automatically comes back on. These things sell from $5,000 to $10,000. They also make regular, less expensive generators for, if you just want to keep your refrigerator going. But the big, huge move in this thing has been out of Katrina and then out of the issue up in New Jersey and New York last year. They satisfied most of those orders. This thing's coming back down. I would think that what we are looking for on this one is just let this thing sit. And the next time somebody talks about actually seeing hurricanes headed this way, we might want to get on board for something like that. But we're at the very end of hurricane season. We're going to go to Steve in Houston. How you doing today, Steve?
David, I'm doing fine. I just want to tell you I love your program, your sense of humor. I love it. It's great.
You don't think I'm just being sarcastic, huh?
No,
that's most of the emails I get. But go ahead.
It's a breath of fresh air because when you listen to the news, and I don't listen to it that much. When I do, I have to hold my nose on most of the stuff. But when I hear you, I get to laugh so much. You've got a good program. So the thing I wanted to ask you about and hear your comments on basically is GNW. I think that's kind of a bellwether there for a lot of things. So.
It is interesting. Of course, these guys have a business. I hope I can get this in. What these guys do is go to these people with structured settlements or people that won a lottery and say, hey, we'll give you all the money for it right up front, but we're going to give you 30% of it, but we're going to give it, instead of over 30 years, we're going to give it to you today. That's kind of in a nutshell of what these guys do. And we're going to have to get to this on the other side. Down on pretty heavy volume. And there was a reason why they had a good run for a while and don't have now. We'll get to it when we come back. Hopefully you can hold Steve.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
So we are back. Hopefully Steve is still with us.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So just to understand the business, basically what they have is they give people money up front, and or you give them a bunch of cash at like a retirement home, and they hope you croak before you spend all the money you gave them. And that is the problem here today. The problem is people are living too long, and it's just unethical to bump them off before they use up all the cash. And that's exactly what's happening here. They basically said, oh, we got plenty of cash, and these guys not going to be a problem. But people are living a little bit too long for them and sucking a lot of money out. Now, most of these kind of deals are like reverse mortgages and all kinds of stuff like that, right? And that not only just being sick, but that's the business they're in, is these kind of the reverse mortgages, the lottery winners. And, you know, the idea is that the lottery winner is probably going to get all liquored up and be in a car accident, and that'll be the end of that. We won't have to pay those folks. It's always, you know, hoping these guys bump off or die before we pay them too much.
You know, this is kind of emblematic of this whole market, it seems to me. You know, it's betting on the come, and that they're going to make it somehow through. It's like watching Ice Road Truckers, you know. it's the ice is going to crack, and they got the door open and ready to jump out. Are they going to be able to jump far enough to get before they go under the water? And I think a lot of these stocks are getting this way. And now people are, like you mentioned yesterday, I think you said, well, probably stuff isn't going to happen until the end of the year, and then everybody's going to want to get their profits at the first part of the year. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe it starts a little bit now. But the point of it is they're all going to. Everybody thinks they got the ability to jump at the same time. I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to do that. You know.
Now, most of these kind of things, you wake up one day and there's just no liquidity. And,
yes.
You know, we've got the Fed. They'll probably be doing something else. But, I mean, did you have a question of whether you could buy this or what?
No. I was just getting your opinion on it. I love your opinion on these things when you see this. And just on the market overall, David, I think you've got a good handle on all this stuff. And you come at it with the right attitude of, hey, look, I'm not a bull. I'm not a bear. I'm pragmatic about it. You know,
that's Jesse Livermore. There's no bull side, there's no bear side, there's only the right side. And right. I'm not always right, but when I am, I'm right real big. And that's basically, in a nutshell, how to do it. One of the things,
and I got to tell you, I just love your humor. I listen to you for your humor, I think, just as much as your analysis.
There is music I love. I was going to get into it, but I think we're going to run out of time today.
Okay.
But one of the things I would leave you with when we have just a little bit of time left here is George Soros, pretty well-known trader out there. But he's got a famous quote, and it's one of the ones that I look at probably every month. I've got a whole bunch of ideas that I go through, and I've got them all on one list. But Soros said, all of economic history is one lie and deceit after another. Your job is to get on when it's being perpetrated and get off before it's discovered. And I read that a long time ago, and that's it's been so true that it's impossible not to know when you read something like that it's true. I got to make sure, kind of like all people, it's important to buy stuff. It's more important to sell it. Thanks for the call, Steve. We'll see you all tomorrow. David. Same bat channel, same bat time. Remember to sell when you can, not when you have to, like G&W today. Looking forward to Tom O'Brien in the next hour. See you all tomorrow in studio.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.